when you do your content, do you do it live at all? I mean, I don't mean from people. I mean like this. Like, do you ever stream to your audience while you?
Not usually. I will do it occasionally for like I do like a coffee with a Kelp Father show where I on Wednesdays, and that's sort of like that.
StreamYard is what we've been using. 'Cause I use it for a lot of projects. So one of my projects pays for all the rest of them to use it, and
Yeah.
and they've almost doubled their price. Now, I don't have to pay it yet because I paid for the year, so I'm good through the spring. But they're trying to add features because everybody's bailing on them because they doubled the
Oh
price,
no.
and it
Yeah.
was already expensive. It was like between I think I paid $225 for a year,
Wow.
which for streaming is kind of expensive.
Right.
And they literally went to like 450, not quite that high, but it was like 430 something. It's like
Wow.
holy cow. So yeah, it's they're adding some stuff in, but it's okay. It's not good
Yeah.
enough. So I have to
Yeah.
figure
My
something
friend,
else out.
my music partner Andrew, when he does stuff, um he's very much of the sets it up so that he has his own basic version of this sort of stuff. It's I don't know, it's non it has software runs it. I don't know how it runs, but it runs great.
And everybody, I see a few people are tuning in. We're giving Tara just a few more minutes. She's running a little behind this evening, but we'll at about 5 after we'll go ahead and start, and she'll jump in. It'll be fine. So we're just kind of talking a little bit. Jen Koss, which I think you met her at Dragon, says, "Hi, Mr. Gunn and Charles. Not Mr. Charles, just Mr. Gunn." So hello, Mr. Gunn. Without going into too many details, the schooling you were looking at doing, how'd that work out?
Great. It's been going great. Yeah, no problem.
Good.
We found a different one than you suggested, but which is accredited, which I think was the big thing.
Okay, that's
So
something.
yeah,
After we get off this, I'll ask you about. So
yeah.
I'd like to look into that.
But yeah, all's
Yeah,
all's going well.
good.
I figured out learning things all the time here.
It never stops, right?
Yeah.
It never stops. I was looking at your website a minute ago. And I was like, oh yeah, man. Now, of all the different great hairstyles you've had, the one on your website I like the best. It's just that shaved
Which one?
side with the little slick back hair.
Oh yeah. See, okay, so there's a problem with that particular style, which one of the reasons I cut my hair eventually is that when it sort of for a while it sort of reminded me of Mr. Fantastic Four.
Oh,
That
uh-huh.
the streaks of silver on the side of his head. It's like so cool. Except when I looked to see mine, it was patches. It was like
Yeah.
patches
Oh,
of
yeah.
white
No,
and
okay.
gray. I was like, never mind. I'm gonna skip
Yeah,
on
like
that.
I can't get close enough to the camera, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I get grief all the time. Oh, I was like, wisdom comes with white hair, man. Don't you read
Right.
comic books?
I have no problem with the white
Yeah.
hair and the gray hair or whatever. That's
But it's
fine.
gotta look. It's gotta look right, right?
It's
I
kind
mean,
of doesn't look patchy. Didn't patchy just
yeah.
not good.
We're not vain people, but at the same time,
Yeah.
so I'll have this grow out, and it'll get all curly and squirrely, and I need to put some beard oil or something on it. And again, if you're just tuning in, this is not just us talking about grooming. We're killing a few minutes. But again, I need to do something with it. I just trimmed it. But yeah, and somebody asked me, he's like, "Oh, you don't do that on purpose?" I'm like, "Who makes their beard look like two elf's feet going in different directions? No, I don't do that. It drives me crazy." But yeah, so it's like it's gotta be right.
Yeah,
It's tough. It's tough to find it. See, if my hair did what your hair is doing, I'd grow it back out because I had a little bit below shoulder length hair before, but I have thinner hair, and so it just doesn't look right. It doesn't have that. I mean, like, I'll never pull off the 1990s Adam Curry lion mane that I'd love to have, but
Right,
I got a cow lick and all this. So like yours part's just right. It goes back and you can do all kinds of stuff.
it's weird
Mine
because
was
in
just
high school it never did that. It was like I had cowlick and that was it. It was like
yeah.
poofy.
Yeah. You didn't know to get grooming tips with Mark tonight.
Yes,
But
grooming. Welcome to grooming, grooming musician.
uh,
So,
so you talk about you've brought your kids to Dragon Con and you've
yes,
done some music with them on the panel there. Is your wife? I find in creativeness, there's a balance. Either your partner, your life partner, is as creative just in different ways, or they're like the opposite. Like in my house, my wife's the opposite. She doesn't want anything to do with this stuff. How's it fall in your
well,
household?
my wife is a scientist. I'm a musician. So she,
Creative in her own way, but in a very
yeah,
different. Like
yeah,
you would think it's polar opposite, but it really isn't.
no, no.
Music and science go hand in hand, I think. But
And we
all right.
definitely connect a lot with traveling too. We are big, love to travel.
Oh, that's great. Jed's a defense lawyer ponytail. All right, let me hit the music and see if I can do this, and we'll get going here.
All right.
Hi, I'm Charles, and I'm joined by Marc Gunn tonight, and we're going to be awesome together, baby. Tyra will be joining in shortly. As Tyra does, she volunteers for way too many things, and she's hosting some banquet or something tonight, but she'll be coming here. But in the meantime, we finally got the stars to align, and I know, and it's killing her, Mark, because I was like, yeah. She goes, I got you an email for her. I was like, I've worked with Mark before. I mean, I got this. And she's just dying to come and talk to you, and it's killing her that she's not here right now. But she will be here very shortly.
Awesome.
But I know one of the things that she wanted to bring up is your long and illustrious career as a podcaster. And I'm sure she's going to have tons of questions on it. But let's let's pretend like the world doesn't know who you are and give a little bit of rundown on what you do and why you're awesome.
So I am Marc Gunn. I am a Celtic geek musician. I got started in 1999 playing at least Celtic music with the Brobdingnagian Bards. But my musical history extends further back because I wanted to be, growing up, I wanted to be Elvis Presley. I wanted to write. I wanted to be a songwriter like Elvis Presley. Now, admittedly, Elvis Presley didn't write any songs, but I didn't know that at the time. So playing Celtic music for the longest time was great because I wasn't writing songs either. No, but I did. I did eventually start writing some songs, and which is, again, one of the big reasons why I got into started playing music.
Now, obviously, you started music long before podcasting came around.
Sort of.
Really?
I'm going to say sort of. Okay, so I started in 1999 playing music. Celtic band. I started. My first band was actually in 1995, but in 1988, I had a whole bunch of 8 tracks, and I wanted to convert them to cassette. And
yeah,
dating myself here. Yeah.
So 8 tracks are like these VHS. Okay, VHS tapes are these big things that were plastic. Yeah, I know, right?
So I sat down with my friend and I. We pretended we were DJs and we transferred everything to cassette. And not too long ago, several years back, actually, I converted that recording from 1988 into a podcast. So technically speaking, I started podcasting in 1988.
Okay,
that's the fact. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I like it.
Because so I do a podcast now, which is the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast. One of many podcasts, of course. But that one, it's a music podcast, just like what we did way back then. Is I play music and I introduce the songs. So
right. Yeah, we all. Well, I don't know about we all, but I know I had something similar where you do the cassette tape, you record it, and you do the DJ talk over thing, and this goes out to Valencia tonight, out in Austin, Texas, or whatever.
Yeah, we made a whole bunch of fake commercials and everything. So we were like,
wow, you really were born to do this.
So a lot of fun.
let me ask you that. So roughly around 2004 is the birth of podcasting as we know it today, right? A lot of people
Yep.
argue, well, I did this, I did that. Sure. But what we call podcasting, the RSS feed, the MP3, the downloadable to an app thing, 2004. So did you just instantly light up and go, this is like what I used to do, and I want to do it, or how'd you get there?
No, I first listened to my first podcast. I think it was in October of 2004. It was the Celtic Music News podcast, and they were basically a radio show of Celtic music. And I was like, well, I can promote my music this way. But I was also, I started listening to podcasts constantly and fell in love with the medium and just was enjoying it. So I think I recorded my first podcast, I think in February. I didn't release it. Or I guess I made my first audio test recording, you could say. The first actual podcast that was released.
I'm not a gatekeeper, man. I'm not going to nitpick the words.
Was the Brobdingnagian Bards podcast. I think that was in May, beginning of May. And then the roller coaster of let's make a new one. Did the Cat Lovers podcast. I'll promote my Irish Drinking Songs for Cat Lovers CD I'm just releasing. Oh, let's start the Renaissance Festival podcast because we play at Renaissance. Oh, let's start the Pub Songs podcast because I have pub songs. Oh, let's start the Irish and Celtic music podcast because I love Celtic music. So it just that roller coaster. And so I think the first few years I had like 5 or 6 podcasts that were going. Ultimately, I ended up, the Irish and Celtic music podcast was the one I decided to stick with the most. I mean, I still do the Pub Songs show, and that's sort of my personal podcast. But it's definitely gone through many incarnations over the years. But mostly as that one, the Irish and Celtic music one, however, has been pretty consistent. Because when I did that recording back in 1988. And when I did this one, started this podcast, one of my things was, if you remember the radio back then, there was less talk, more music, and then like the music's playing and they're talking over the music. And you're like, shut up, I'm trying to record.
No, right. So, and they run right up to where the lyrics will start, like, oh.
So I was, at that point, I was like, if I'm going to do this podcast thing, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I did do a little bit of crossfading of tracks and such, but pretty much all it was like I introduce the songs, I shut up, and then I play the music, and that's always been one of those big things for me.
And that is the beauty of creating digitally, is you can do what you want. And I discovered podcasting roughly August of 2004, and I started recording shortly after that because I thought it was a cool, different thing to do. And I remember that all the advice, like the Todd Cochrans of the world, like don't talk about your real name, don't talk about your address, don't talk about where you were. And I'm like, nobody's listening.
Right.
Nobody's listening. I mean, we get 8 downloads, we're excited, man. They're not coming to our house, but it was beautiful because you could do 6 different music podcasts that were whatever, same vein, different vein. I could do long form recording and live. Other people did short 15-minute daily shows.
Mm-hmm.
And it still is that. It still is create how you want to create and connect where you want to connect. I know we've talked so many different times, so many different ways. When you were on Wise and Nerdy, I believe, because you were on, we had the pleasure of having Mark at that Southern Fried Gaming Expo, and that was fantastic having you on. And we're going to get to play again together coming up next weekend.
Oh my God, it's next weekend, yeah.
Yeah, it's Conjuration. I got it right. Conjuration. Yeah, it's coming up, and you posted some podcasts or some panels rather. I posted some, and then I was like, well, I'll just say I'm available. I think I ended up on half of yours, but dude, you're going to be the king of that conference, man. You got a lot of great music panels. I
didn't expect to get as many tracks as
I was wondering if you'd asked for
I just submitted, and then she admittedly I did learn a trick for that one, which is you say anything that for a wizard. And
it's a brilliant title, though. Every witch and wizard needs a podcast.
Every witch and wizard. That's what it was like. I mean, That would be kind of cool, though. I mean, you just imagine Harry Potter doing a podcast. But then again, you think about like the radio when they're listening to the radio. It's sort of like that,
Right.
It's a same sort of thing, which is just kind of fun.
It is going to be, man, I'm looking forward to it because every different con is exactly that. It's a different con, a different experience.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a lot of fun there. But what I was really setting up, and I'll put a pin in that. Welcome to Center Stage, Tyra Burton.
Tyra!
Hey!
Welcome.
I can't hear anybody. This is my life.
Oh, no, and she's video delayed, so...
How's that?
There you are.
I hear you fine.
We got you.
Yay!
Awesome.
Okay.
I was just, Mark and I were talking about how we're all going to get to hang out together and create together at Conjuration.
I know. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But the story you told on Wise and Nerdy, I believe, was growing up, you lived all over the world.
Yeah.
In different places. And most people, when they want to grow up being Elvis, it's not that easy of a transition to slide right into Celtic music. That's usually not a side-by-side. So I was just curious, where was where did that passion come from?
Did I not tell you that it was destiny?
I'm sure you did to a room of 10 people. I'd love to tell it again for recorded posterity, sir. So I know you're new to podcasting, sir, but this is how podcasting works. We record a story.
Are you shaming? Are you podcast shaming?
Pod shaming.
No, I'm just teasing him.
You are pod shaming, Charles. Shame on you.
So I had to. I was. This was destiny for me to do what I'm doing. Okay. So first off, I was born on St. Patrick's Day.
I'm born halfway to St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, nice. So I was all second though. St. Patrick's Day, of course, is the Irish day, but it's also St. Gertrude's Day, patron saint of cats. And I have a CD called Irish Drinking Songs for Cat Lovers. So
I have it.
You have CDs?
I have CDs. So yeah, no. So really, what it boils down to is, I was a big nerd growing up. I played Dungeons and Dragons. I remember the first time I went to Rome, and my mom moved to Italy in '85. But I went to Rome, and I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. Take pick everything. Yeah, I had 2 rolls of film of nothing of the Colosseum. It was because I loved it, and I got into Dungeons and Dragons, which was hugely influential in my life. So when I was playing music out on the University of Texas at Austin on the campus on the mall, and someone said, "Hey, you want to play at a Renaissance Festival?" I was like, "Yeah," Nice. Of course, I didn't have any music at the time, but I was like, I want to do this, and so I got into playing Celtic music, and I had a couple songs that were Celtic. One of them I like to call it was a song called "Lounging in La La Land," and it was sort of this new agey Celtic thing, with these really terrible lyrics. Well,
you've improved greatly.
Thank you. I really hope so. I couldn't go much worse. I could tell you that. If you listen to the lyrics. Those were the days that because I was playing in punk band before I got into Celtic music, and
I need to hear punk Celtic music now. I'm just
yeah. Well, there's lots of it, but one of the things that when I was going from playing the music, when I was writing songs for punk band, my songs had really very little substance. They were horribly written. They were bizarre, off the wall, which is sort of like the music of the 90s, the alternative rock, except those actually worked. It's like Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is a brilliant songwriter, but it's not a storytelling song, but it's a brilliant, you're like, oh my God, how do you do that? And then there was me, and I was trying to do that sort of stuff, and it was horrible. So I got to writing songs that were actually, had stories, and everything clicked. And I was like, oh, this is a lot easier, a lot better.
So you overcame what you thought you needed to do and some disappointments in it not being right, but you didn't give up.
Yeah.
What Was it just because you knew you were born for this, or what kept you
Oh no.
pushing forward through the disappointment?
No.
I mean, if you're, and you're not the kind of person that's hard on yourself, right? I mean, okay,
No,
you are,
no.
you are, but you're not like, oh, I'm the worst, and everybody's like,
No.
no. So when you say it didn't work, I believe you that it wasn't good.
I didn't know it at the time either. Really, you know, my last punk band broke up. I picked up the auto harp. I started playing that a little bit and writing.
That's change.
Trying to change. Yes, my step one. Trying to write some songs, and it was nothing great. But when I got to Renaissance Festival, all of a sudden I found part of it was, I think, finding the right people. You know, finding people that are as different as I am. You know, I like to say that, you know, I got to Renaissance festivals, like, oh my gosh, my people. But then I got to science fiction conventions, like, oh my gosh, my people. Because there's levels, I guess. You know, I love at Renaissance festivals, but I find more kindred spirits, I think, at conventions. So I really just fell in love with creating music at conventions and such. So for conventions, for people out there and such. So yeah, I'm not sure if I answered the question. I've lost my track of thought.
No, you're great. So Tyra,
Hi.
this is your time to shine. I'm gonna step out of your
shit.
way, and you get to. Oh, I'm not putting you on the spot. I'll keep talking. I just
No,
know you
it's
were
okay. What
excited
are you
that
going to do to me?
No, I was just going to let you to run. We talked about where you got started with podcasting and some of that, but I know you had some.
I do. So, like, I was putting together stuff for today, and I was going through your things, and I know you got a Kickstarter that's coming up. We'll talk about it. But what I didn't know was how many Kickstarters you've done and how successful you have been at them.
Oh.
And so I would really love to hear from you what you think makes you so successful in that space, and any advice you could give to people that are thinking about using one of those types of platforms. And I'm getting ready to teach this in 2 weeks, so I really need this.
Okay. So interestingly, my Irish Drinking Songs for Cat Lovers was my first quote unquote Kickstarter, because I did that in 2005. And that was when I started podcasting. It was what I decided I would promote the before Kickstarter was Kickstarter, obviously, a crowdfunding. I thought I would fund it that way, and so I did. Now it turned out, you know, I raised like over 10 grand for that album, but profit was a lot less because I didn't know much about Kickstarters, you know, shipping and all that. I don't know how much I made, honestly. I also was very bad at accounting. So
A lot of musicians are.
Yeah. Since then, you know, I've done, I don't know, 10 plus. I don't know how many I've done.
I think you've done 20.
Yeah, Tyra does.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, I
Holy crap.
Yeah, no,
Holy
here's
crap,
a better
yes.
number. Tell them the better number. How many completed to
19.
success?
19.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
19 out of 20, Mark.
Well, okay, so step one, you don't set super high goals.
Well, unrealistic. You set realistic goals.
I worked with a band, and they say they wanted to make $20,000, and I was like, I can't help you there, you know. So yeah, I mean, usually I keep what I know I can probably reach. Is the first big step.
So realistic goals, we like that.
Realistic goals is very important. I do like to have simple rewards. I find that if it's something that also, so I usually have like for the one that's coming up for the Robbie Night Game Bards, we're gonna have a CD, an album pin. There will be a shirt. There's going to be a song book. And usually I try to get it so that there's like 4 or 5 items so that it hits, you can get a $100 level, get it all. And you get quite a number of people who go for that. You know, I think for me, I get 10 to 20 of those are just from that level.
Nice.
But
not an outrageous amount either. I mean, that's
right.
I mean, it's a lot, but it's not $1,000. I mean,
if you think
it's
about
realistic.
it,
Yeah.
5 collectible things, you know, CD.
Yeah.
And when he says album pin, that's not just a lapel pin. That's
Yeah.
you can scan it, right, Mark, and you get the download of the.
Yeah, you get you get the album download as well.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
there's a lot of little things that go that are a part of that.
And at a concert, you're talking about that. Those 5 things would run $250 in standard concert prices,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, $100 is a deal.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, I try to set it at it so it is definitely respectable. And then, of course, sometimes usually I'll autograph it. I add their name to the website or something. All important things. So one of the things that I've done in the past a few times also is I try to stick to like a couple weeks. Once upon a time, I used to try to do like a month long because I was like, well, the more if I do it longer, then well, obviously I'll make more, right? Makes sense. But the problem is that after a month, you're tired of doing the campaign. You're tired of saying, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, and you're like, okay, and your audience is tired. Probably.
I was ready to say, I bet, because what happens when it's so long for me, I forget.
Yeah.
Like if it's short, there's like an immediacy, like an urgency to do it. But if you've got a month, I'm like, oh, I'll do that later.
Yeah.
And then I forget.
And that's exactly what I came to. I found that through Joanne Penn, the Creative Penn podcast.
Oh, the Creative Pen is awesome.
Yeah, so she talked about that, and I was like, let me try it, and I did. I think last time, and I really liked it a lot. I thought it was much better, just keeping it to the 2-week format, because then I don't feel bad about sharing,
Right.
20, 30 pieces of content in a short period of time because they're getting a lot of stuff. Andrew and I sat down, we recorded, like 10 videos that we're just posting, and we're also podcasting. So it's all packed together, which makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to come up with some new stuff. I just have to schedule it.
Speaking of Andrew, how long has your creative partnership been going on?
Since 1999, 1999 as the Bards, as the Brobdingnagian Bards.
It's
Before
25 years.
Yeah.
Also, why did you go with the hardest name to pronounce?
No, you can pronounce it. It's spelling it I can't do.
I can't do either.
That
I'm
is
from
Andrew's
Georgia.
fault.
Me too.
Brobdingnagian. Brobdingnagian.
Brobdingnagian. Now I can't say it.
Brobdingnagian.
Okay, you had 20 years of practice, Mark. Come on.
25.
Andrew, early on, one of my little bits of brilliance that I did is I said, Andrew, I want you to record how to say Brobdingnagian. And he there's a recording on the website, and he does 3 times as fast. Brobdingnagian, backwards, Niagaraporp, I mean.
And is that your number one downloaded track for the website?
We haven't actually put that on a CD. We should actually put that on a CD. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
That could be, a bonus item.
I'm totally writing that down.
In today's age, retro is cool, right? So all these new artists are putting out specialty vinyl. I bought it for my daughter's birthday, but the Wolverine and Deadpool movie came out with a double vinyl set with one record was Deadpool, the other was Wolverine, and so everybody's doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you have a milestone coming up, like the 20th anniversary of a certain album y'all put out, that you could release it as like an 8-track or a vinyl? I think that'd be kind of cool to.
He
to
wants
have.
expensive things.
But yeah, so the toughest thing about doing vinyl especially is that unless you're ordering a lot of them, not enough people, particularly in the Celtic music world, are interested in that. I mean, I could try to kickstart it, and that's probably how I would do that. If I was going to try to see if it would fund, I would definitely kickstart, because I don't want them sitting around. I don't know where I'd put them on. My shelf is back there. It's filled up. I don't have space. I still have like 1,000, 2,000 CDs of.
You have CDs?
Of various albums.
That's what I have in the basement.
Yeah, and so vinyl. I found a place that does one-off vinyl, and I've done a couple albums that way, but they're not regularly available, and the profit margin is.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's
no.
fair.
Totally fair.
Comparing, and I'm not being mean, but comparing you to Jay-Z, who puts out the retro albums. Okay, well, he's going to sell probably 1 million copies easy,
right.
But yeah, I just know it's the lapel pens are really cool.
Yeah.
And for everybody who doesn't know who Mark is and thinks I'm just being an ass every time I jump in with you have CDs, you mastered branding with your audience very early, because that's your thing. So could you, I don't know if I've ever heard this one, could you tell the story of the first time you taught the audience to do you have CDs?
Okay, so first off, this is interesting. So we did not come up with this phrase. First off, there's a
Okay.
band that we found in Kansas City called 3 Pints Gone, and they would do that. We have CDs. You have CD. You have CDs. Or, actually, I don't even know how they do it now because it was different. Andrew came along and he was like, "Okay, we're going to change it up. We're going to say we have CDs," and he says the inflection at the end really makes a difference, which I thought was just hilarious. And I was like,
It is
and
funny.
Andrew.
and as he points out, it's also different. We're not just totally stealing from them.
You're inspired.
We're inspired. And
It was
so
like
when
AI before AI.
right, exactly. Now when I went solo, I added a little leap at the end to even make it
Yeah,
differentiate
you
from
gonna-
the
yeah.
bars. A little leap at the end really makes the difference, you know, and just to add a little bit more of something different, which has been a lot of fun. But you know, so I couldn't tell you when we started doing that. We played Kansas City in 2001 was the last time, I think, maybe 2002 as well, but I know 2001 was because that was, you know, when the two twin towers were hit and we're like, are we boarding a plane today? So yeah, it was interesting.
Brown guy
Oh.
says, "You have a mark."
Hi Dan.
Yeah, the first time I heard you was at the final panel at Dragon Con. I don't know, at this point, 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was. And I was exhausted. It's my first Dragon Con. I'm half eyes open. And you do that, and the audience jumps up and does, "You have CDs?" I'm like, "I'm awake. What's going on? This is weird. I did not expect this." And then they did it throughout the show. But what I love is even to this year, it's almost like you forget that's a thing because you'll be talking and you're in this performance mode. And you go, "Yeah," and they got CDs, and the audience will jump up. And you're like, "Oh yeah!" And you start laughing, and then you go on with your story. So do you forget that you've taught
All
them
the
this?
time. I
I love it.
There are so many times that I'm totally forgetting. Yeah. So that you mentioned CDs, and he's going to say that every single
time. Yeah.
But what's fascinating though is
We
that,
like a reliable.
and this has actually been very useful too. So I started doing album pens a few years ago, and album pens. What I like album pens, of course, they're an enamel pen with theme to a particular CD. So you get a digital download. Yeah,
Yeah, it's coming. There it goes. Yeah.
If you're not in the Twitch chat, you're missing it.
Yeah.
You get a digital download of the album, and then you can wear your album on your sleeve. Is my pitch that I have. But as Dan points out, there you have album pins, and people have been doing that, and now they do it with anything. You know, you have anything. You know, doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
They'll find something to go on, which has been really useful too, because as you may know, few people want to buy CDs these days.
There is truth in that.
I did a Georgia Ren Fair, a fall fling this past weekend.
Oh, how was it?
Nice.
I
was
gotta ask
great.
questions.
It was awesome. I had a wonderful time, but this is the first time that I was like, well, I want to try this. You have anything?
I just feel the need to share it. I'm sorry. I think we need to rejoice in the anything.
But it was the first time that I've actually changed it from, you know, focusing first on the CDs, which is people usually cling to, and then moving straight to the you have album pens. So I went and said, "I have album pens," and people still do the "you have album pens," which is just wonderful.
I feel stupid. I did not know what an album pen was until 5 minutes ago.
No,
Oh,
that's it's quite all right. So this is something that I am now evangelizing. So
Yeah, I think
Get
you
on that
first brought it,
soapbox,
2
sir.
years ago. It's pretty new.
yeah, so I started like 2 or 3 years ago, and I've been trying to fine tune it so that it's useful. And the thing is that as you probably know, people don't buy CDs.
No, they don't.
I mean, you have older crowds. A lot of Celtic music fans will still, but you go to a convention, they're like, yay, it's a handful. You know, half of my audience, probably less than half now, will buy CDs. But album pens are something different. You still get that physical representation of something, and then you get the music, the digital music. Now, when I set up a URL, a special URL now, so that they go to a page where they can download the album, but they can also stream it. You know, because the album is you can stream all my music on Spotify, Amazon Music, et cetera. So it gave me another way to promote the music and get people who just want to support the music to do that.
And
Which is
when you're
important.
at 100%, when you're at a
I mean, you got to
convention,
support indie musicians. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
you have an URL.
Oh my gosh.
You have a website.
I don't know who you are, Browncoat BDH, but you sound like you're a good time at a party.
You have pending allegations? No, bad joke.
Bad.
But when you're at a con, you want to, if you put out money, you want to take something home. I mean, in general, I kind of feel as oversimplification. We buy stuff we wouldn't normally buy at a con because, it's there and it's in front of me. And you're caught up in this moment. So having those pins, even though they could just go to a website, pay the fee, and boom, here's your access code. Having the pin is brilliant.
Yeah,
it's like I said, you can wear it on your sleeve, whatever, but you take it home. It's beautiful to look at. It's a conversation piece, and it comes with the music.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a life changer for my music business. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because how many albums have you put out? Because it's outrageous. Actually, it was 17 Kickstarters. It's 20 solo albums.
I've released 25 solo albums.
You need to update your website, sir.
I might need to update my website.
I'm just saying.
The Bards have put out, I think, 11 solo albums. So
That's like 36 albums.
That's not all of them. I have a few things that I've done as well.
That's amazing. So how do you keep finding the creative juices to keep producing at that level?
It varies. So early on, I was definitely writing a lot of music, not necessarily great music. And back then, if I recorded it, if I wrote it, I put it on an album. Now I look at, and then I was also recording a lot of traditional Irish and Scottish songs. In fact, when my oldest daughter was born, we made a trip to Kentucky. We rented a little house in the middle of nowhere. My wife went to go visit some friends, and I recorded 3 albums. So
wow.
And really, so that early on, I was producing a lot of it. I was putting out like 4 albums a year for like a few years. And then the past few years, I've slowed down quite a bit. I have just put out a couple new albums, but I also am focusing a little bit more on, better quality songs, songwriting, focusing a little bit more on songwriting as opposed to traditional music. I still have usually at least one traditional track, one instrumental track, and then my songwriting. So yeah, I really enjoy I love creating music, and these days though, it's the toughest part is sitting down to record. I need to go back to that little house in the middle of nowhere.
I think it's hard to make time.
I got your studio right here in my backyard. It's in the middle of nowhere.
He does. It's
I'll
almost
just be the creep in the window going, I'm watching him record. This is amazing.
Well, and when his kids barge in, he's very sorry.
I actually joked with Mark one of the first times I interviewed you at Dragon Con. We talked about how you get a Grammy. You're like, hey, I'll get you to sing some backup on one of my tracks. Like, you don't want to do that. Don't do that. But
so interestingly enough, my nephew's song is being considered.
Oh, nice.
I know.
Very
I'm
nice.
really super proud of him, but I have no idea. Like, I have a friend who's on the Grammy board, but I have no idea how that process happens. But just the fact that, you can have independent musicians that can be a part of that, to me, it's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
I think you need one, Mark. I think we need you have Emmys? Grammys, not Emmys. Grammys. Dang it.
Yeah. I'll do it all.
You have the EGOTs?
EGOTs?
Oh my God, I'm so proud of you, Charles.
So how did COVID treat you? Because it brought a lot of mental health down for a lot of people. As a creator, as a writer, as a prolific writer, what happened for you there?
Honestly, I'm an introvert, so it was to some degree magnificent. I mean, except for
not having to go out. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, except for having to talk to the kids.
At least he didn't say the wife.
No. Actually, it was actually the school was the worst part.
Yeah.
Having them to do school was just really difficult. which is very challenging. But that was really the only problem. I actually loved. I loved it. It was fun playing with the kids. We would take them, every day we'd finish up work, school, we'd go into the woods and play in the middle of and creeks and head over to another park. I mean, it was lots of little adventures, and that was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. So that was the worst part about it for me was just having to be a teacher at home because
Yeah.
my youngest she didn't want in first grade, she didn't want to sit still.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How
It
was
was
it for you creatively? Because I know that as a writer, I just shut down,
I
and I've been hard trying to get it kickstarted again, to be honest.
gotta say I haven't really thought about it.
That was my
Admittedly,
dog.
I haven't done nearly as many albums since then, but I don't necessarily credit that to that. I think it's a lot of it is changing how I'm creating stuff, creating new music. I've written a bunch of new songs. I just haven't shared them. I'm starting to perform them more than I'm actually releasing them. Uh, so I know I've slowed down since then, but that's about it. I don't know if it's necessarily related. I
Yeah,
can't necessarily say that it's causally related.
right. It seems like your quality is going up, like,
Yeah, I
and
I think so. Yeah,
and that's,
and
I mean, that's a good, the more you do the craft, the better you get at the craft.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I've the one of the things that I recently realized was so I have we're working on a new CD with the Brobdingnagian Bards. It's called Another Fair to Remember. Mostly, it's based on. We did an album in 2001 called A Fair to Remember, and it was 17 tracks. It had the first 10 tracks were our top 10 songs that we thought would be performed at Renaissance festivals, that we loved. And then we had a few random tracks, including "If I Had a Million Ducats," which we had parodied, um, and
I mean, come on.
some other songs that we just really loved and thought should be on this list. So that was the initial concept, and the new album is sort of a continuation of that. There's not as many. We do have some more traditional tracks on there, but it's also a lot more of original songwriting, which is again something that I've been definitely getting into. And so we've come up with some really fun songs, which has been really interesting. So we did an album like 3 or 4 years ago, I Will Not Sing Along, which was a lot of fun, a really fun album, but it felt like a different turn away from how we had done stuff in the past. And this is sort of moving back into the way we used to do things. And so I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
Revisiting of your roots, but in a different way.
Yeah. And it's still hitting on a lot of things that we do still do in conventions and such. So, we do a Hobbit drinking song show at Dragon Con every year. And
Yes.
one of the songs that we do is called Mushrooms. And the song is basically it's the song Old Dun Cow,
Oh
but
yeah.
from the Hobbit perspective, you know. So that's where the idea was based off. I went to Sherwood Forest Fair this past year, and I talked briefly with Andrew. I came up with a basic idea of what I wanted to do, but I didn't have a verses. And Andrew's like, "Well, how about this?" And I was like, "Okay, oh, that's it." And so next thing you know, the song's done. Uh, and then by the end of the day, I'm going up to some people. I'm like, "Okay, I need your help to test this out," because one of the things I've learned about drinking
That's awesome.
songs is that drinking songs, it's got to be easy. It's got to be something that you can easily get someone singing along and interacting with really quick.
Yeah.
When I was early on, when I did Irish drinking songs for cat lovers, I did what was it? There was a I'm yellow tabby, kind of flabby, and I'm coming home. There's a whole bunch of these. It's based on the Moonshiner, but there's these shouting parts for you. But the problem is, how do you teach them? I didn't teach them. I didn't figure out how to teach them. So it was a failure on that songwriting level.
Gotcha.
But I learned from it. So not really a failure. And that's what I came with mushrooms. I was like, well, okay, let's take mushrooms, and all you have to do is shout mushrooms when I say mushrooms, or fungi in Dan's case. And and so I started singing, tested it out, and it worked out just beautifully, exactly as I hoped, and got people singing and shouting along. So, which is, the ultimate goal is getting people to interact with you at the shows. It's like Andrew, we did a show long time ago, and there was a guy in the audience who was just railing on us, you guys, blah blah, and someone says at the end of the show, there's like, man, you handled that heckler really well, and we're like, there's a heckler out there. We just included him in the show. It just worked out. So.
Nice.
Use what you got.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
Well, you also do tours to Celtic lands called Celtic Invasion, and you just got back from one. And
yeah,
I want to know how that started, because I want to get in on this.
So I forget who. I think it might have been Ed Miller, who is a Scottish musician from Austin, who lives in Austin, Texas. I think he was doing a tour, and then I saw some other band was doing a tour of Ireland or something, and I was like, how does that happen? And I was at the Things Celtic in Austin. They were wanting to put together a tour through the shop, and so I was like, well, we said, you want to do this together? And so we worked it out, and that was the way I first did it. We did the Robin Bards tour of Ireland in 2007, and it was on a big tour bus called they have a tour company called CIE, big tour bus.
That's who Emerald Rose used.
Yeah, and it's on again, off again, on again, off again, and you walk into a gift shop, you walk out of a gift shop.
Yeah, it's very touristy.
Marketing wise, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. But I was exhausted by the end of it. So the next year, I was like, 2008, I was like, I want to do this again, but I don't want to do it like that. So I got with this guy who was on mp3.com, who lives in Ireland, and he organized the second trip. And that was great. And then the band split up at the time in 2008. And the next year I was like, I want to do this again because I love traveling. And so I planned 2 trips. One went to Tuscany in Italy, and the second one went to Dingle, Ireland. And it worked out. It was spectacular. And I've been doing them ever. That's when I started Celtic Invasion Vacations officially. And I've been doing it ever since.
It's wonderful. And I want to go.
Yes.
How does one find you to sign up for that?
So that's at CelticInvasion.com.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's a special website. So the way it works is the trips that I do, they're different than the big ones. So the big ones are on big tour buses. These I or a friend are driving, either a van or a couple of cars sometimes. We usually stay in one location. We immerse ourselves more in the location that we're at, and we make at least 1 or 2 like far little trips, extended trips. But most of it's in one location. You really get to know the location, and so you end up, the one place we ended up spending an evening drinking beer, watching Irish football on the TV while, and one time we went to, and there was a guy who gave us a private tour of his cemetery, or you experience things a little bit differently when you get to stay in one area and you're not just constantly traveling. I really like that experience. Now, admittedly, the last one I did, which was a Celtic Invasion of the Whiskey of Scotland, which was just absolutely brilliant.
Charles and I are drooling. My husband's asleep in the other room because he worked through the night, but he is also drooling and doesn't know why.
There's got to be a second one, because you just mixed 2 of my favorite things: learning from Marc Gunn and drinking scotch.
Well, there was a third part of it, which was we were also hiking. So I don't know if that's on you too, but
no, but I can do something else while you're hiking.
My original plan was to go hiking, drink whiskey, hiking, drink whiskey, hiking.
So you want to live the Hobbit life. You want to live the Hobbit life.
Exactly.
See, I could just drive the car and meet at the whiskey places.
Okay,
I
define
could
a
go to the
hike. Are we
cafe
talking about
and write what
miles
y'all-
or kilometers? What are we talking about with a hike?
Admittedly, this first one was pretty light. We did not do hardcore hiking. There was usually it was about an hour
That's
hour
not
long
I
bad.
could
walk.
do that.
It's
I
really
could
it
do
would
that.
actually have
I could do
been
that.
doable. Now I don't know how we're going to do it in the future. I right now I'm still playing the regular version, which is again staying in one location. That one went all around. We started up in Inverness, drove all the way
Oh, nice.
through the Highlands, through
Mm.
Speyside, down into outside of it, near Falkirk, and then we worked our way back up the center to through Abbey Moor and back up to there. So it was spectacular. A little bit more exhausting than my regular trips, but it was spectacular, and the whiskey was amazing. So, yeah.
So my husband's a Lafroig fan,
Oh yeah.
and it's gotta. That's the one thing he's like. If we go to Scotland, it's Lafroig. I'm like, yes, dear.
Yeah, we didn't. So this trip was, we did 3 of the whiskey regions, which of course did not include Isla, or the. I guess we didn't also do Campbelltown. Campbellton, I think, is the next one. But so yeah, I want to do Isla at some point too, but that's in the future. We shall.
So
make it.
when do we get a Celtic Godfather branded whiskey or scotch or?
I know.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
I'm
So
just saying.
we were out there.
I mean,
And some of the guys, there was a couple guys on the trip who were just, they love whiskey. They were, spend 20 minutes smelling their whiskey
oh,
and then trying.
that's a little long.
Well,
You gotta get to the drinking
maybe a
part.
slight exaggeration, but they took their time.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
My husband's in the other room asleep, but raising his glass because he would be totally all over this. Some
So,
whiskey, some scotch. The man would be happy.
so one of the things they found is apparently you can buy a barrel of whiskey.
Yeah. Mhm.
And basically brand your own whiskey. And they were like, oh,
Mark,
they were researching that.
I saw a TikTok. You can absolutely, and they work, whoever you work with, they work with you on your flavors and get you to say what you like and don't like, and then you get to sample it, and they will build you a limited batch run of your own whiskey. And I need to live vicariously through you, so I need a Celtic Godfather bottle of whiskey next year at DragonCon.
All right, I'll work on that.
work on this. Do you
Uh,
bring the whole thing back, or do you get a bottle set at a time?
I don't know how that works.
I don't know either. We're gonna have to find this out. I feel like this is a new goal.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
Well,
Tyra and I are all about research.
No, I'm down.
I'll carry your luggage, Mark, whatever it takes.
Well,
I will not carry your
I'll
luggage.
bring some of the. I brought back. So there's one whiskey I went to. I only bought one bottle back. It was a bottle of Cragganmore. Which I don't
Cragganmore's good.
So one of the things that was interesting though, as I was like, this distillery looks really familiar, and why does it look so familiar? And as I'm thinking about it, I realized that we had been there 12 years earlier.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
In 2014. So they were brewing the whiskey that we were drinking.
Yeah. So you got a 2014 bottle, yeah?
Yeah. So I was like,
I don't blame you. That would have been awesome.
it was.
Yeah.
I didn't buy it for that reason. I just realized it afterwards.
Oh,
Afterwards,
wow.
okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God.
Please excuse me. There is a bag in my dog bed, and he is informing me of it. I'll be right back.
That is, non-binary says
Yeah.
that was serendipity.
It was totally.
That's amazing. So, of all the great things you're doing, what's something that you really want to do that you haven't done yet? Create with somebody specifically, go to a certain place.
So one of the things that I miss about playing with Andrew a lot was because he came up with a lot of dumb ideas, and they were dumb but amazing. And I was like, every time he'd come up with something, I was like, yeah, we should do that. And he's like, I was just joking, man. And then we did it. The one that we haven't done is we haven't done a movie with the Muppets yet. So one of these days.
Shut up! Oh my god, you're my hero. I love the Muppets so much.
Yeah.
Look, wait, hold on.
Wait,
Oh,
wait,
wrong
wait.
button.
Hi,
Wrong button.
everybody.
Hold on.
Oh, there it is.
My 4.5 foot tall Cookie Monster, and I've got an original 1980s Rolf doll
He's ready.
packed away somewhere. Yeah, man. God,
Yeah.
that
So
no, I couldn't take you anymore. You, because just the
that'd be
joy of you and Animal doing something together. Yeah, right. Gonzo going. That's an auto. What? Oh my god, dude, that'd be crazy. And amazing and beautiful, and
yeah.
of
So
course you would do that. It'd
that
be
would be
amazing.
fun. That'd be fun. But other than that,
Yeah.
I've had for the Celtic Invasion trips, we've gone to the 6 of the Celtic nations. Next year, I'm hoping to hit the 7th, which is in Galicia in Spain.
Ooh.
So I'm really excited about doing that. Um, but I don't know if there's something I want to get. My big thing is I want to get better at songwriting, and but not just release everything that comes out. Sometimes I've come to accept that you don't need to release everything. So
There, there's a great thing about getting older because you
yeah,
start to not edit in a way that makes more sense.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it definitely makes more sense. It makes more there the latest 2 CDs, I play the songs on them. My earlier CDs, there's like 1 or 2 songs on each CD that I might play. And so it's nice that, I'm saying, well, it's on the CD. That's been really a lot of fun. But then all of a sudden you get to do some fun songwriting. Like, so last year we do this little Hobbit gathering in Kentucky called ALEP, a long expected party. And it's absolutely brilliant. There's a gross of people who attend the event, and Andrew came out last time. It's not every year; it's every 3 years.
Oh.
And he came out last time, and we ended up writing a song that's going to be on the next album as well, called "Love Song to Alcohol." It's a yes, it's exactly what you're
Exactly
laughing
what you think.
We basically, people suggest it continues the Ducats tradition of throw out a suggestion. So what is your favorite type of alcohol? We'll include a verse in it for whatever it might be into the song, which is just fun. But one of the things I love about it, not only is it has a fun chorus, it has a fun shout back, call and response, but it also has just an absolutely bizarre lyrical structure, because there's this sort of I'll give you an example. My favorite drink is whiskey, so fill my glass to the rim. When I drink it, I get oh so frisky. My cheeks will start glowing, my confidence growing. I'll pass out with all of my friends, and I'll drink till the new day begins. That last part, I'll drink.
Gotcha.
We repeat it every time. It's not quite a chorus, and yet
Yet
comes
it
out
is.
as
It's the
and it's
anchor
sort of a
part.
pre-chorus to the chorus. This is a love song to alcohol. Which one do you prefer? Is it bitter or sweet, smoky or neat? The best that you tasted or tastes just like feet? Is it made from potatoes or flavored with peat? Love song to alcohol. So it's a hilarious song, and you can make it funnier, or you can make it perverted, or you can make it whatever.
You can adjust it for your audience.
You can adjust it for your audience, but then it has just a very fascinating lyrical structure, which just makes me happy.
I love the fact that you can be that creative on the fly.
Yeah, yeah, and that's can be a challenge.
And, sometimes the oat alcohol might be good for it.
That helps a lot, honestly. It's sort of like learning Italian. So my mom moved to Italy in '85, and I have my Italian stepdad. I'd go to his family, and speaking Italian was no problem. I studied in college and whatnot, and spent lots of hours in the markets. But listening was very difficult unless I was drunk. When I'm
That's
drinking,
awesome.
all bets are off. Then all of a sudden I can, yeah. it's a lot easier.
Well, as a curiosity, why do you think that is? Is is your brain going too fast to try to interpret it when you're not drinking, or?
I think it's you spend too much trying to interpret instead of just listening.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
can see that.
And that's for me. If I just relax and just let it go, I'm like, oh, what you're trying to say here is this, and I can respond to that. So no problem. So then all of a sudden I'm just like yap 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 yap.
I would just like to say that I like the fact that the Celtic father also has a cat in the background.
Yeah, they're
She
all
just
over.
dropped down just a second ago. I was like,
We,
oh,
we have
it's a kitty for spotting.
we have a catio. So
Oh, do
yeah,
you? Oh, Shane wants to
my
build a catio.
my wife built it, and it's fantastic.
Your wife and my husband should talk.
Yes.
I don't build things. Sort of like I don't hike long ways either,
Yeah.
but
Um,
nobody really wants me with an automatic nail gun.
I did finally figure out the best offer I can give you besides money, because I know you need money, but to go on one of these trips.
Yeah.
I'll homeschool your kids. I'll take care of your kids' education, man. You don't have to worry about it ever. Will they get into colleges? I can't promise you that, but I can promise you don't have to worry about it, Mark. That's what I can promise.
That could be sus. I'm just saying. As a college professor, I would like to say
don't. She's telling you don't do it.
no.
So-
His kids are awesome, by the way.
You had mentioned earlier your albums on Spotify.
Yeah.
As an artist, what does that do for you?
It's promotion.
Yeah.
So back in 2000 was when the Rob and I Game Parts, and I first put music up on mp3.com. At the time when it first went up, it was just promotion. Then they started paying. Woohoo! At one point I was like, I'm going to quit my day job. And then they got sued and lost everything, and they closed down.
Yeah.
But even back then, when mp3.com was closing down, we were like, what do we do with all our music? Are we gonna just focus on selling it, or are we gonna give it away? And we made the decision to give it away now. And we made the decision to give it away, and it was the best decision, because people were still downloading the music, they're still finding it. I don't know if Napster was still up at that point, but people would find it, they download it,
Right.
they'd play it, and it's the same thing. I don't look at it as a financial money source, sadly. I wish I could, but it is a great means of promotion if you're looking for particular songs. You made a reference.
I like Brown Coat. He's funny.
But
You can come back, brown coat.
Yeah.
but if you it's great for promoting. If you want to find a song, if you want to hear the music, hopefully you'll want to support the music. I mean, I am on Patreon now.
I was going to say, how is your Patreon? How have you found that experience?
Patreon is great. It's been much better for my podcast financially. That one continues to grow every month. The music one, it doesn't grow very much. It doesn't really decrease. It just stays pretty much the same, which is great. I mean, that's fantastic, and it's a wonderful way to support everything that I do. But it's another method of actually getting financial support. Now, if you can get them from one place to the other, this is where the album pens have become such an important thing for me. Is that so? When I started it, I was like I would send them to Bandcamp, where they can get they give you free download codes if you sell a certain amount of stuff on Bandcamp.
Right.
The problem is that it's a third party website. If I'm using Bandcamp, if I'm using my own site, I can send them there. They can sign up to my mailing list. Step one, always the most important, sign up to your mailing list. They can follow my Patreon blog and, get blogs from me, updates, and they're part of my community. And then, of course, they can find out if they want to financially support me as a musician, which thus far hasn't, done a whole lot, but it's much better in place for that as a possibility. So, yeah, it works out. Patreon is just absolutely amazing, and it's I have multiple Patreon pages for different projects that I do, and each of them has pulls in different people, so it's been great.
I've been talking to a writer friend of mine, Bob McGoo, Tales by Bob, and he also has a
Yeah.
Patreon that he's been growing. And he said for him, the hardest part was trying to figure out what to give people for what they give you. So, how did you figure out what the kind of like sweet spot for that is so that you can provide it on a consistent basis, but
On
offer something
Patreon?
important? Yeah, on Patreon.
Okay, so Patreon is one that I'm very Patreon can be difficult because you want to like give them the moon, and then you realize you can't give them
Can't.
you can't give them the moon because you have to like everything. This is okay. So the other day I was and for several years now I've been like, how do I post pictures online? I mean, do I just post them, or do I give some exclusive access to patrons, or do I just don't know what to do.
I have all these pictures, but what should?
On videos, and and so I finally made the decision that I was just going to post the pictures.
Okay.
So Tuesdays I'm now planning on posting pictures from my trips or whatever. It's going to go on Patreon, it's going to go on Facebook, which also puts it on Instagram. I don't care if the specifics. I do put up more pictures over on Patreon because Instagram limits you to 10.
Right.
So great. And then I can post a little blog about it, whatever. But it's that type of thing where you have to figure out how much you want to share with your audience. And it is not reasonable. It is kind of unreasonable to try to do more than one thing a week.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Sometimes
completely.
even more than one thing a month. It depends on who you are and what you're offering and how much time you really have. And if you're willing to dedicate that time to do it, it's a lot of work to manage that, plus the podcast, plus the other podcast, plus the band, plus the other band, plus
Plus
plus the cats.
tours.
By
Oh,
the
the
way, I have
cats.
family cats and family here. So there's a lot of little things that go into this, and so what I typically do is I set a level for and this was something that Andrew mostly picked out, which was he was like, set a $5 fan level, $5
Okay.
per month, something just solid. Now it does help to add other levels just because some
You
people
never
want
know.
to. Well, yeah, some people want to support you at a higher level, and while they can still do that at the $5 level, um, it gives them that feeling of that they did something really nice. If they can do it at the $10 level or the $25 level, so I have those as options, and then I try to share something at least once a week. Usually there's a little bit more. Usually there's more than that, but my goal is to just put out one thing a week, and hopefully at least a podcast, once a month. If I want to try to get a new track, new music on there at least once a month,
Okay.
but
Okay. So,
we'll
but
see if I.
they know that going in it's kind of a.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like over delivering. So offer
Okay.
little and then over deliver.
No, I agree with you completely. And that was
Yeah,
also Bob's take.
yeah. For the Irish and Celtic Music podcast, it's the same thing. I have multiple levels: the $1, the $5, the $25. I think the three levels that I have there. Um, and then I offer, now it's an ad-free episode and a music only. I'm debating whether I'm going to have both of those. I might just take off the music only and just have the ad-free. I'm still deciding, but I'm trying not to offer too much. I'm trying, and occasionally I have some bonus content. And, Irish Fest Atlanta is this weekend. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to try to get some recordings and see if I can share some of that online. So
I want to go.
Mark, you need to join us for in February at Atlantic Station for Beer, Bourbon, and Barbecue Festival.
ooh,
Is
It's
it? You didn't tell me about it.
about
yeah, I thought I forwarded it to you. We'll get it. We'll talk off here, but it's a
I have to
great
have a
local.
conversation. It's fun.
I got Tyra to go last year with us, and it's you'll love it. Here's a question from if I mess up the name, I apologize. Non-binary Nyan.
Nyan?
Say
I would say Nyan.
Okay.
If we're wrong, we're sorry.
the question about what you're talking about, like streaming and that kind of stuff earlier, with Spotify. YouTube often has official looking videos that seem to be from the artist, but it's the artist as a topic. It moved. They seem to be automatically put up by the record holder or CD baby. Are they legit? Do musicians even get credit as views, or dare I hope credit for payout on those videos?
Yes, they do. YouTube, I feel like, is a little bit better when it comes to, I mean, the royalties are poor, but usually the plays are a little bit better, uh, because of the videos, because it's such a powerful search engine. But yes, usually if it's from those are usually done by like CD Baby, I know, in particular does a lot of those things, and it's every time you play one, it's streaming my music, and you earn a few bucks or a few cents or fractions of a cent, which helps obviously. So yes, those are legit.
That's good to know, because sometimes you just don't know. And by the way, Browncoat, he just popped it in there.
Excellent.
So ignore my DM me on Facebook. Charles beat me to it. Of course, he didn't share the link with me before, but that's okay.
The adults are talking. I'll do all the typey. It's good. But it's a good time. So the other question I had along these processes with people who want to create, I mean, you're doing a lot, right? You're doing tours and pictures and CDs, but you didn't start that way. So we've talked a lot tonight. The theme has kind of been refinement and getting better at your craft. What advice would you give to somebody who's wanting to start, I'd say, a music creation to define a process?
I need to break that up a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. I know it's a big
That's
question.
okay.
That's, I mean, if someone's starting out and wanting to get into music, what I would say, number one, just do it. Just start playing. That's step one. As far as recording, sure, start recording. Learn how it works. Share whatever you can. The first goal, video is great for this sort of stuff. The first goal is just to get someone to watch it and see if they like it. The funny thing about just like anything, I guess, in the music business is that you get better over time. And I listened to our first album. I think that production wise it was well produced. Intonation, there's some issues. And you live and learn. You fix things over time. You get better, and it's really just a matter of doing it over and over and over again as many times as you possibly can. And if I was starting over now, I would do things a little bit different. I probably wouldn't start with CDs. I probably wouldn't. I would find a product immediately that I can. There's a pretty kitty. I would find it, some sort of product that I could sell and record something that I could share with hopefully potential fans, and hopefully that it was of good quality. So there's a lot of ways to go about it.
That having different revenue streams.
It sounds like, well, I mean, just in general, like with a creation, I mean, I know there was a lot there, but it sounds like you don't regret any of your past. Like you started writing, you recorded it, you put it out, you did the next writing, you recorded it, you put it out, and it's like flexing a muscle, right? You learned from the last one, you refined, you just don't give up.
Yeah. I just keep going. Yeah, I'm big into just keep the momentum growing. Yeah.
So how do you find the balance? Because it sounds like you have with everything you're doing, like with the Patreon and the tours and all this. How do you find that balance of work, because there's a creation and work that you have to do to bring in some money, and just creating?
Okay. That is a lot harder. I spend a lot more time like doing work, aka podcasting, than I do songwriting. I should be spending more time doing songwriting, but making the time for that. But there's also, that's the other aspect is I'm also promotion. That's another part of my job. I spend a lot more time doing that than I do songwriting, which again, I wanted to be a songwriter, so I should be focusing more on that. I can't say that I really balance it really great. I enjoy, I love all the aspects of what I do. the creation aspects. And certainly I think spending a little bit more time doing the things that are focusing on what's most important would probably be the better thing. Quite honestly, podcasting isn't necessarily one of those items that I should be doing if I want to be a focus on songwriting. But it's the side job, that pays pays the bills, and I love it. And of course, it's also an opportunity for me to promote stuff, and I do feel it's extremely rewarding, because I am able to help so many people find Celtic music for free without having to pay for Spotify fees or whatever. They can find their new favorite band in their neck of the woods, because that's what the podcast does. So it's great.
That's a cat sneezing on the mic. It's hilarious.
I'm so sorry.
It's hilarious. I mean, he has a song.
It's very fitting for my show.
Yeah, it's like he has a whole thing about cat lovers. So
and Leia has never come to a show before. She is.
This is true.
She is very skittish, and she knew you were here and said, "The Celt Father is there. I must go see."
Yeah.
Meow. So this is Princess Leia.
Hi, Princess. Aw.
So Tyra, did you get the questions out that you wanted to ask?
I did. We covered the stuff I wanted to because I just was amazed. Like every time I go and look at your website, I'm amazed at all that you do. And I think as an independent musician, having all those different revenue streams, having all those different pathways for people to find you is important for young independent artists to hear that, yeah, you may not like having to do some of the day job stuff.
Yeah.
But the day job stuff can be very rewarding and can lead you back to being able to do songwriting.
Yeah.
Which if you didn't have like your podcast, you probably wouldn't be able to do songwriting as much as all. So, it's all building it together.
If you couldn't, I mean, I know the easy answer was, if you had to, you go play Renfest and make your money that way. But you couldn't do that to make your money. What regular Joe job would you be in right now, Mark, if you didn't have
Mark's
this?
a regular Joe job.
I don't know that I am. My last job was desktop publishing, and that was in 2005. And that's, I spent most of my time promoting my band. Before I was like, okay, I should leave because I'm spending all my time promoting my band and not coming into work. So, I don't know if there's what it would be. I mean, definitely marketing is something that I have better than the average person, but I'm not a great marketer because I don't like dealing with statistics and numbers and such. But I know about it.
Sometimes I ignore it too. So
yeah, I love doing music and I love writing songs. And I really love doing podcasting. I every time something comes to my head, I can, speak it to the world, which is kind of fun. And you get to share stories about the songs that you write and the places that you go, which is fun. And sometimes people actually listen, mostly it's, but, and also again, the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast, it helps a lot of musicians find new people, dude. There's so many bands that I've come across. There's this band, they were sort of a Celtic metal band, but I'm thinking like Fugazi Celtic.
Okay.
Which let's just say that because Fugazi was kind of off the wall and very different. And I didn't understand their music. And then one day I heard him in a podcast. It wasn't mine at the time, but all of a sudden it clicked. I was like, this is what they are doing. I don't like this in general, but in context, I'm like, wow. And I think a lot of times with a podcast, with the music podcast, you hear it in context with other songs and you're like, this is fascinating. This I can get behind this. I can get excited about this. And it makes a difference, and then it helps the band. And there's a band on there, the Gothard Sisters. They were on, I think, the first year of my podcast, and they were 3 young ladies who played fiddle, and they were okay. And then a couple years later, they put out an album, and okay. And then the next one they put out another album. I was like, dang, this is pretty good. And then they put out an album just recently, and I was like, this is a fantastic album, you know. And since then, their audience has grown, and you know, it's really cool to be a part of that as well. So there's many different aspects of what I do, and it's all really kind of cool.
It's got to
It
be
is.
rewarding.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to expose people to new bands and help
Yeah.
them find a home. Because I think anytime you can connect with somebody emotionally and you hear their story, it makes you appreciate their art more.
Exactly. Yeah. It's awesome.
So
Leia
have you
agrees.
ever? Oh, sorry.
No. Leia's being judgy.
I
She says
yeah.
she likes Celtic music.
She likes Mark. She does not come to this show like ever.
She does not.
So
This is like so uncommon. Like Dobby will visit every show. Like Dobby has brought me socks in the middle of the Be Awesome Together. Leia, no sir. She might growl at the dog, but she does not do this. And he is literally asleep over there. So this is all for you, Mark.
Yeah. Thank you, Leia.
You're welcome.
So if you, I can't imagine you've never been approached by some kind of label trying to promise you the world and sign you to work for them.
No, not really.
Really?
Yeah.
No, yeah, not for what I do. The thing is that what I'm doing is it's niche. Um, I'm making sci-fi drinking songs, which is just not a
Awesome. But
yeah, but not for the lay people. It doesn't work for the general populace. It's for people, you know. Certainly, it's more popular than it was, you know, when we were younger, but before
It's true.
Big Bang Theory and stuff. But by the way, they stole a scene from us too.
Oh,
no.
There's a scene that
No.
that's our
there's
time, everybody. Thanks. We don't get sued. No, I'm just kidding. What you
no
got?
there's a scene when they are at the university, and Sheldon gets a Brobdingnagian desk, a very large desk in his office, and I think it's a Kretke, what's his name? The guy with the speech impediment, who basically gets him to say Brobdingnagian, and we're pretty positive that they stole that straight from our website. So, any case, it's too much of a coincidence. Nevertheless, it's you know, it's a unique style of music. I mean, it's not, you're not going to find many people who are going to be I mean, maybe if I don't know how that would happen. I don't know how it would happen. Let's just say that. I would love it, you know, having a label that's offered me, you know, $200 million to sign with them. No problem. I'm in.
Yes, please. I'll write music for you. It'll be great.
That sounds lovely, but I'm not expecting it.
So if I could type, I would type in the private chat that it is 9:23.
Yeah, that's about
But
to say.
I can't type. I'm cat holder right now.
You are the queen of cat holders right now.
I am. I can't even get offline. You're stuck with me, Charles, until she moves. I'm sorry.
I got you. I noticed that, and like with every conversation with Mark, you could just talk forever. And
Ever.
It's amazing, and we're gonna get to do this again in about a week. We're
So
a little over a week.
Yeah.
We're gonna be at Conjuration, all of us, and I look forward to being able to sit in because I drank and I never get to go like drinking with hobbits or anything. I get to experience you at the very end, and that's it because we're both super busy. So I'm very much looking forward to being able to hit the different music panels you're going to do. And of course, we're going to share some panels and do different things, introduce you to some people like Bob and other great
Can't wait for
creators.
you to meet Bob.
It's amazing. Let's go through the sites one more time. We've got markgunn.com. And we've got CelticInvasion.com, where you too can travel the world with Marc Gunn. And then we've got the Patreon.com/CeltFather. Not Godfather. Celtic Godfather. You are the Godfather.
Godfather of Celtic music
He's
online.
just daddy.
I know. He's just daddy. The Celt Father, where you can support, and it's beautiful. I went to it while we were talking, and the videos are there. You got the podcast right there I could listen to, and then jump in and be part of the community. It's a great your site looks great.
Thank
Your
you.
Patreon looks
Appreciate it.
amazing, and it's very inviting. And you're always one of the most inviting. You have .coms, yeah. You
And
guys are the best
.nets.
fans out there.
Oh, thank you,
uh,
Dave.
we always love having you on, and I love that you've been such a big part of the tradition of DragonCon Digital Media Track, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't be the same. I guess at some point, I mean, it's inevitable, retirement, whatever, but it'll never be the same without you.
True.
So we need to push past some of the AI voice stuff into AI holograms, so then you can get paid to have your likeness, and then you'll be at DragonCon in perpetuity, sir.
That would be awesome.
You know,
I'm all for it. Let them know that I'm open to this idea. We'll talk.
Tyra, where can we find you?
Oh, well, before that, you make sure that you look at the Brognagian Bards Kickstarter that's going to start. I know Mark's going to put up some information about it, and we'll drop something on our digital media track page. But besides that, because heaven knows we need to support Kickstarters with good artists. I'm at tyraburton.com. You can find me there. And I can't wait for Conjuration.
Yeah.
We're going to have a blast, and I will maybe put out the link for that because I can't remember what it is. But if you look at my website, it'll be there.
All right.
Yeah, let me.
Charles, where can they find
Nope,
you?
that's not right. I was trying to keep. There you go. TyraBurton.com.
Just
There
go
it
to
is.
tyraburton.com. It's so much easier.
I try to simplify my life, and you can find me over at Linktree/RGOP42 is my personal one, and you can find everything that we do. Linktree/DC Digital Media Track, where we're gonna have a lot of great guests coming up in the next few months. Honestly, we've got a guy helping us do that.
Join
Hammond Chamberlain.
our Discord.
Yeah.
It's free. It's beautiful. And tickets are already on sale for DragonCon 2025. So if you too want to follow the pub crawl that is Marc Gunn as a human being, come to DragonCon. We'll see you then.
She's growling
Thank y'all
because
so
we're
much.
getting
I
offline.
appreciate it.
Mark,
Thanks, everybody.
Y'all are
Go
awesome.
there and be awesome.
Okay, I'm not going to dance.
Oh, that was it.
Did you hear her?
I
Yeah,
did.
I hear